can you foresee in our lifetime or in sometime soon, because in Iran, they got in and then killed all the left who helped them get in. Is that right?
Yes,
could that
the
happen
communists
here?
and the trade unionists who inadvertently helped the Khomeinists to power, they were massacred in the prisons of Tehran and elsewhere in the 80s by people, including somebody who lives in Harrow.
Wow. So can that happen here?
Everything can happen.
Do you foresee it?
I'm careful about the future. I said almost everything I had to say about that subject in my book, The Strange Death of Europe, which I wrote almost 10 years ago now. I gave every warning I could.
I didn't know. I mean, in your book, you mentioned, I think, Humza Yousaf, his opponent, Kate Forbes. What happened with her? I didn't know about this.
Oh, that's remarkable. Yeah. Kate Forbes is a Christian, a Scottish nationalist. Yes, she was running for the head of the SNP at the same time as Humza Yousaf, who is, of course, a pretty devout Muslim, married to a Palestinian, which obviously has colored his own views on lots of things. I just thought, I mentioned in passing because it was very interesting to me, Kate Forbes was lambasted for the fact that the church of which she's a member does not have Stonewall's views on gay marriage. Stonewall used to have Stonewall's views on gay marriage.
No.
I remember when I was arguing for gay marriage many years ago before it was legalized, Stonewall said it wasn't a priority. But there you go. Anyway, the point is that Kate Forbes, her church does not have the most progressive views on LGBTQIA+ issues. She was lambasted for it. It was as if somebody like her could not be in public life. Remember that hopeless man who used to run the Liberal Democrats? Oh, gosh, I mean, we could be here all day listing them. But you remember the one, Tim Farron?
Yeah.
He's a Christian of, again, a pretty devout sect. And because he has theological opposition to, gay stuff, he couldn't do an interview. Like he was trying desperately when he was doing interview rounds to talk about something other than gay sex, and everyone was just asking him about gay sex because they wanted to nail him on being this. Careful on the phrasing there. They wanted to nail him on this whole issue of, are you this Christian bigot? Nobody applied the same standards when it came to Humza Yousaf. And the minute he becomes SNP leader, he leads a prayer to Mecca in his office, boasts about it on social media. It must be the first time that people, this has happened in the office of the first minister and this sort of thing, and does that repeatedly throughout his extremely unsuccessful time in the leadership of Scottish politics. I find this an amazing double standard. If Kate Forbes had got into office despite the slurs and the slurry of opprobrium which was pushed onto her, and I've met her, by the way, she's a lovely, lovely person, and she would have been great in Scottish politics. She could have actually addressed some of the things that the Scots need to have addressed. Like, instead of involving themselves in the Middle East conflict, maybe they could have, for instance, stopped drug overdoses in the East End of Glasgow. Would be helpful. They don't seem to care about the East End of Glasgow. East End of Gaza, that's a different matter for them. But Humza Yousaf, this is what he did. If Kate Forbes had come into office, been elected First Minister, head of the SNP, and immediately celebrated the Eucharist in the office, I submit that the Scottish press and others would have gone bananas. They'd have said, we've got a religious fundamentalist.
Yeah.
And why this? It's one thing if a society wants to be open and tolerant and all of that, and I'm for all of that. It's another thing not to take your own side or your traditions into account and actually want to spit on them and never celebrate anything that is ours, but celebrate everything that is historically not been.
Well, because it's cool.
It's more than that. It's more than that. Cool is a bit of it, but cool plus some very ugly other things.
Such as?
A form of self-criticism that I regard as being one of the deep bombs underneath liberalism, which is that self-criticism is one of the best aspects of our societies. Our societies are able to criticize ourselves. You know, any politician in the UK can say that the press can say what they like. Same thing in America. No shortage of criticisms of the president. And it's not just at that personal level, at any level. We think about things like, you know, there's been the recent debates on very significant moral issues like euthanasia. Not that we've had many MPs that have been up to the moment, but we can do the self-criticism. Should we be doing it? Should we not? Is this the right thing to do? And so on. And that also applies to history. I always say I never want to shut down any historical inquiry. I want more. But there is a moment when revisionism or revision of your past, re-looking at your past, turns from being self-criticism, which we do and have done, into self-laceration, then self-flagellation, and eventually self-destruction. It's an extremely careful salami slicing that you've got to do to see where one goes to another. But I said many years ago, I think in The Strange Death of Europe, that there's a very easy way to do this fast, which is there's two types of criticism you can apply to a person or to a country. There is the criticism of somebody who wants to improve you, and there is the criticism of somebody who wants to destroy you. So if I said to you, better example, if your mother said to you, I trust you have a good relationship with your mother.
Reasonable. Yes, very good.
Okay, good. Good Jewish boy.
Yes.
I assume you have a good relationship with your mother. Your mother wishes you well. If your mother says to you a piece of advice, darling, I think that jacket.
You've been itching to say that, Douglas.
No, I admire your jacket. But if she was to say to you, I don't think that jacket looks great on you, you would probably take it into account. This is a frivolous example, but you might. But you would regard it in some light because you know that your mother wishes you well.
Yeah.
And the same with a friend. If a friend says to me, I don't think you should have done that, or I'd do that differently, I listen because I know that friend wants to improve me. But if somebody hates you or me and attacks your jacket or something I've done, they're not trying to improve us. Because there's a difference between talking to somebody as a critic and talking as an enemy.